Hi there, welcome back to Games Which Fan My Passion. This is episode 3, Lufia 2, Rise of the Sinistrals. And it's been about 3 months since episode 2, and I apologize for the delay on these. However, the laptop is cooperating, and my list is secure, so it's time to punch through them. So, let's do this. Now, hopping back into the saddle, I'm going to discuss a game I didn't get into playing it until about, I think it's more closer to 20 than 10. I've brought up his name before and a few other things. He was actually on a couple of TGS recording podcasts, so if you want to check those out. But I'm referring to Matt, wonderful friend and peddler of RPGs, and he had suggested I play the game. His name's going to come up a lot in not just in this episode, but in some of the other ones. Just to let you know on that. So, as his recommendations are the ones that kept me kind of returning to draw from the well. Because truthfully, I just didn't really play games a lot. That's just how I was. I mean, I would play certain games, but I didn't play a lot of them. I don't know, just kind of how it happens there. But, I mean, hell, he's still trying to push me to play Valkyrie Profile. I still have not played Valkyrie Profile. That is one that he's recommended for over a decade. But back to Lufia 2 here. I can remember him saying how enjoyable this game was, but it was the game's ending which kind of pushed it over the top. So with a sizable serving of skepticism, I joined Maxim and company to thwart the Sinistral's pursuit for world domination. The best way for me to describe Lufia 2 is that it's a JRPG with fairly standard plot, with likable characters. But what makes the game ascend are that there's puzzles in the game, the inventory used to solve said puzzles, the fantastic music, the ancient cave, which is like a game unto itself, and of course the ending. Oddly, I remember the build-up from Matt more so than most of the game. I'm dead serious. I have a really hard time remembering much about the game other than going through a bunch of towers, solving the problem, and then being done with it. Otter still is that much like this game. I only have vague recollections of my life when playing it for the first time. It's really weird. Like I don't know. It's just something about it that college was busy, and I enjoyed time with friends and doing a lot of homework. I don't know, there's something about that time, particularly when playing this, that's for and maybe it is because the game is rather a ho-hum affair, not in a negative way, but it isn't. There are certain aspects of it that really push it over the top, like I mentioned, but it's just because it's those aspects and not necessarily the whole experience. Well, I mean, it's a good experience of the game with the puzzles and stuff, but like the story, it's, you're going from town to town and solving the town's problem. You go through that, and then Sinistrals, scary things. So, but however, this game has kind of fed into some other aspects of my life. For starters, the music, I love it, and it's just there's fantastic mixes of it that you can get from like SSH to just a lot of different people. For me, I was in the early days of YouTube. I had found a CalebElijah, and why is this important? Because he was the initial step for me with this whole sort of thing. Watching Happy Console Gamer spurred me on to make videos, but CalebElijah's work convinced me to sign up for the site. So, I know he put out a video like last year, and I don't know if he really does it much anymore, but you're still able to go on to him and check him, and it's still pretty good. It's always great to kind of click back and listen to that music and stuff like that. So, yeah. Now, step beyond the music, and the ending is what pushes this game into greatness, and it's kind of how similar I feel with some of the Zelda games, is that kind of looking over it, I have very all over the place feelings towards a lot of the games in the Zelda series. However, even for some of the games I don't like, at least from Ocarina of Time onward, a lot of them have done a good job of like having really, really memorable scenes or really, really enjoyable scenes. And for me, with Lufia 2, the ending does that. And what I was told by Matt, the ideas I thought of it didn't hype me too much. It didn't put too much of an expectation on it. I was curious, and I was like, oh, and then when I finally got to it, I was like, wow. And then, like, I hold it in the highest regard as one of the most enjoyable endings in a JRPG. I just do. Stick the landing, and you could stick in the hearts and minds of players for years to come, and that's what it did for me. Now, this game is timeless enough that a reimagining remake on the DS effectively killed the series. Neverland went bankrupt shortly after. I honestly think it only sold 5,000 copies when it first was released in Japan, and I was one of those 5,000. I mean, it didn't matter. No amount of Rune Factory games could ever save it from bankruptcy, unfortunately, and that's just kind of the nature of it. Now, they were bought up. The team was bought up by Marvelous AQL, which now simply goes by Marvelous. If you look into it, they also got a lot of IPs from purchasing Gmode. Gmode had a lot of Data East IPs, and we all seen how that kind of works out. So, am I sad that this is the case? Yes and no. It's a bummer because there could have been more in the series. There could have been a ton more. And had they not tried to reinvent a classic like that, it's kind of the same way how I feel with A Link Between Worlds. They kind of reimagined a classic, and for some, they said it did really well, and then it recaptured it. I didn't feel that way at all. I didn't really enjoy it. With this game in particular, they went in a very different route, which, I mean, not so much as Link Between Worlds, because it's still very similar, but with the remake of Lufia 2, they went in a very, very different route and tweaked a lot of things, and you know, that's just kind of what happens when you play that kind of game. Now, the thing is it doesn't take away that you can at least, or we can at least experience the Stellar game as well as Lufia 1 and The Legend Returns, because Ruins of Lore is it's still there, like a memory, a very vivid memory. So if I focus hard enough, I can kind of see the game before me. I can see the Sinistrals, I can hear the music, and then see the very vibrant colors, and I also think of the world's hardest puzzle, and it's there. And as such, it is also fleeting and vanishing from my mind as suddenly as it had come into clarity.